Looking back, I should have known that something was wrong from the start. But when you're 22 with mounting student debt and 3 roommates who party more than they pay rent, you don't question a job that pays above a minimum wage, especially not when the manager, a tall woman with unnaturally white teeth named Loretta, hires you on the spot despite your total lack of fast food experience. "We need someone for the overnight shift," she had said, not quite meeting my eyes. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Most college kids can't handle it, but you seem different. The way she said different made my skin crawl, but I smiled and nodded like an idiot. Different was good in job interviews, right? "Perfect, you start tomorrow night." She slid the paperwork across the desk. "Just one thing, Thalia. The overnight crew keeps to themselves. They're particular. Just follow their lead and you'll be fine." I should have asked what she meant. I should have noticed how her hands trembled as she handed me my uniform. But all I saw were dollar signs and the possibility of finally paying my phone bill without having to choose between that and getting groceries. The first night started normally enough. The day crew cleared out quickly, almost frantically, as the clock approached 11 p.m. My trainer was a sallow-faced guy named Michael, who looked like he hadn't seen sunlight in years. His skin had a grayish tint that I attributed to the fluorescent lighting, and his eyes were deeply sunken. "The evening shift leaves at 10:45, not 11, he said flatly. "They know better than to stick around during the changeover." "Changeover? When we take over," he replied as if that explained everything. "Let me show you the stations." The tour was brief and utilitarian. Grill station, fryer station, drive-through register, a standard Mickey D's layout. But Michael kept looking at his watch, rushing through instructions until we had reached the back hallway. "Bathrooms here, employee locker room there, break room, and this." He gestured to a reinforced metal door that I had never seen in any other McDonald's. "Is the freezer. We don't go in there at night. Ever." Before I could ask why, another employee had emerged from the break room. She was petite with hair so black it seemed to absorb the light, cropped into a severe bob. "This the new girl?" she asked, looking me up and down with undisguised suspicion. "Yep, Dahlia, meet Vanessa. She runs the front counter overnight." Vanessa nodded curtly. "Loretta hired you directly for nights." "Yeah, I interviewed yesterday and—" "Yeah, figures," she interrupted. "Did Michael explain the rules yet?" Michael checked his watch again and grimaced. "No time, it's 10:58. Places, everyone." Vanessa grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in with surprising strength. "Listen carefully. Never go into the freezer at night. Never let anybody in after 3:13 in the morning, no matter what they say. Always answer the drive-thru on the first buzz. If somebody orders a meal that's not on the menu, just make it anyway. And for God's sake, if you hear knocking from inside the bathroom stalls, don't answer." My nervous laugh died in my throat when I saw her expression. "Wait, you're serious?" "I'm dead serious. People who don't follow the rules don't last." She released my arm and headed toward the front counter. I turned to ask Michael more questions, but he was already at the drive-thru, headset on, staring intently at the empty lot outside. So this was some kind of hazing ritual for the new girl. Fine, I could play along. College orientation had been worse. The first hour passed uneventfully. We had a few late-night customers, truckers mostly, ordering coffee and egg McMuffins that Michael prepared with mechanical efficiency. I worked the register, following Vanessa's lead. She barely spoke, only responding to customers, and even then in clipped and rehearsed phrases. At midnight, the flow of customers had stopped abruptly. 1 minute the drive-thru had 3 vehicles waiting, the next, nothing. Vanessa checked her watch. "The midnight lull," she said. "Good time for a bathroom break if you need it." I didn't, but something in her tone made me think that I should take the opportunity. "Sure, back in a minute." The employee restroom was surprisingly clean for a fast food joint, but freezing cold. My breath fogged in front of me despite the May heat outside. As I washed my hands, I noticed the corner of a paper sticking out from behind the paper towel dispenser. Curious, I tugged it free. It was a sheet torn from a notebook, the edges frayed and stained with what I had hoped was ketchup. In neat, precise handwriting, someone had listed 5 rules. Rule number 1. Never enter the walk-in freezer between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Rule number 2. No customers inside the restaurant after 3:13. Rule number 3. Answer the drive-thru in one buzz. Rule number 4. Make any order exactly as requested, even if it's not on the menu. Rule number 5. If you hear knocking from inside a bathroom stall, ignore it. If you hear your name, run. At the bottom in different handwriting, "Please believe these, I didn't. Loretta lied about the turnover rate." I stared at the paper, heart suddenly pounding. It was identical to what Vanessa had told me, but seeing it written down with that desperate plea made it feel less like a prank and more like a warning. Had previous employees left this? A sharp rap on the door made me jump. "Talia, you okay in there?" It was Michael. I shoved the paper into my pocket. "Yeah, coming." When I returned, something had changed. The restaurant felt colder, the lights dimmer somehow. Vanessa stood rigidly at the counter, staring out at the front doors. Michael was back at the drive-thru, but his posture was tense, alert. "Everything normal?" Vanessa asked, eyeing me. "Sure," I lied. "Why wouldn't it be?" "Good. Take over for Michael at the drive-thru. He needs to prep more meat." I tried not to show my confusion. We hadn't had an order in 20 minutes and the holding trays were full. But I nodded and took the headset from Michael. His fingers were ice cold when they brushed mine. "Remember," he whispered, "first buzz." The drive-thru remained quiet until 1:27 a.m. I know the exact time because I had been checking the clock every few minutes, watching the seconds tick by in the dim glow of the monitor. When the buzzer finally sounded, I nearly leapt out of my skin but managed to hit the response button immediately. "Welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order?" Silence. Static crackled through the headset. And then a voice, low and wet, like somebody speaking through a mouthful of liquid. "McRib." I froze. The McRib was seasonal and definitely not on the current menu. But I remembered Rule 4 and swallowed hard. "1 McRib, anything else?" More static and then, "No bun, raw, with extra sauce." My stomach turned. "1 McRib, no bun, raw, extra sauce, anything else?" "Hurry." I relayed the order to Michael, who nodded grimly and disappeared into the back without comment. When he returned, he carried a tray with what looked like raw meat slathered in dark sauce. I couldn't bring myself to look too closely. "Drive to the second window," I instructed, and the vehicle, an ancient station wagon with windows so darkly tinted that they seemed to swallow up the light, it crept forward. When it reached the window, I saw the driver was wearing some kind of mask or hood that obscured their face entirely. Gloved hands extended from the window, palms up, waiting. Michael reached past me and handed over the tray. The driver made a sound, not quite a thank you, more like a wet gurgle, and drove off without paying. "Did they?" I began. "Night regulars don't pay." Vanessa called from the front. "Store policy." I wanted to argue that no such policy could possibly exist, but the look that Michael gave me, equal parts warning and fear, kept me silent. And the next order came at 2:15. This one was for bone meal and salt, deep fried, with a large coffee, black. Again, Michael prepared it without question, producing a paper bag filled with what looked like breaded white pebbles. The customer, a tall and thin figure on foot at the drive-thru window, whose face I couldn't see beneath a wide-brimmed hat, tapped the glass 3 times before taking the order and melting into the darkness beyond the parking lot lights. By 3 a.m., I was fighting the urge to grab my things and run. The only thing stopping me was the growing certainty that whatever rules govern this place, breaking them would be worse than enduring my shift. Almost closing time, Vanessa announced, checking her watch. Closing? I thought we were 24/7. Michael and Vanessa exchanged glances. "Inside dining closes at 3:13, Michael explained carefully. "The drive-thru stays open." "That's an odd time," I said, trying to keep my voice casual. "It's precisely when we need to be locked up," Vanessa replied. She moved to the front door and hovered by the locks. At 3:12, the front door swung open. A man walked in, normal-looking, middle-aged, in a rumpled business suit. He smiled apologetically. "Sorry, I know that you're about to close. I just need a coffee for the road." Vanessa's face drained of what little color it had. Michael stepped back from the drive-thru window, eyes fixed on the clock. 3:12:47. I moved toward the register. "I can help you." Vanessa's hand clamped onto my arm. "No," she hissed. The man's smile widened, showing too many teeth. "I just need a coffee, black, for the road." "We're closed," Vanessa stated flatly, positioning herself between me and the counter. The man tilted his head at an unnatural angle. "The sign says that you close at 3:13. It's only 3:12 and," he checked his watch, 52 seconds. Something was wrong with his movements, jerky and too fluid all at the same time. His eyes never blinked. "Please leave," Michael said, his voice surprisingly steady. "We can't serve you." The man's face contorted, the pleasant expression sliding off like melting wax. "I'm a customer," he said, his voice deepening, resonating oddly in the empty restaurant. "You have to serve me, it's company policy." The clock on the wall read 3:13:01. Vanessa lunged for the door, turning the deadbolt with a decisive click. "We're closed." The man, if he was still a man, slammed his palms against the counter. The impact left dark wet prints on the laminate. "Serve me," he bellowed, his jaw unhinging slightly with each word. "No customers inside after 3:13, Michael recited, backing toward the grill. "Store policy." The man went very still. He stared at us with eyes that had gone completely black, and then smiled again, a horrible, stretching thing that split his face almost to the ears. "New girl doesn't know the rules yet," he said, his voice suddenly gentle and reasonable. He turned to me. "Do you, Thalia?" I felt cold sweat bead on my forehead. I hadn't worn a name tag yet. I hadn't introduced myself. "I know enough," I managed to say, though my voice quivered. The man, the thing, stepped toward me, movements now jerky like a marionette with tangled strings. "Do you know what happened to the last person who worked here? Before you?" Vanessa made a cutting motion across her throat, warning me not to engage. The thing that had been a man was only feet away now. This close, I could smell it, like meat left too long in the sun, like spoiled milk and pennies. She didn't follow the rules. It continued conversationally. She let me in at 3:14. She made an exception just once. Michael had vanished into the back. Vanessa remained frozen by the door. What happened to her? I whispered despite myself. The thing grinned wider, jaw dislocating further with an audible pop. Why don't you ask her yourself? She's still here. It gestured toward the bathroom. A cold, horrifying realization dawned on me. The knocking from the stalls, that desperate note. The thing's form shuddered and rippled. For just an instant, I saw something else beneath the business suit. Something with too many limbs folded wrong. And then Michael was beside me, fire extinguisher in hand. He pulled the pin and unleashed a cloud of white powder directly into the thing's face. It shrieked to sound like metal grinding on metal, and it staggered backward. Drive through, Vanessa shouted, already moving toward the back exit. Out, now! I didn't need to be told twice. I ran, following Michael through the drive-through window that he had opened fully. We tumbled onto the pavement outside just as the lights inside the restaurant flickered violently. From within came an inhuman wail of frustration, and then silence. We huddled by Vanessa's car, watching the restaurant through the pre-dawn darkness. For 20 minutes, nothing moved inside. Finally, Michael spoke. It can't come out until somebody lets it out. Restaurant rules work both ways at night. What was that? What is this place? My voice sounded distant and detached, like it belonged to someone else. Vanessa lit a cigarette with trembling hands. Just a McDonald's during the day. At night, well, something else uses it. Uses it for what? Feeding, Michael said simply. Different kinds of hunger. Vanessa checked her watch. We have to go back in. Shift isn't over until 7. You're insane, I whispered. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Vanessa said, exhaling smoke. They've been called before. By 7 a.m. there's nothing to see, just a normal McDonald's with normal employees. They think that you're crazy or on drugs. What about the cameras? They don't record at night, Michael finished. Or rather, they record nothing but static. Look, you can leave if you want, but breaking your contract has consequences. Like what? Neither of them answered. But Vanessa touched the collar of her uniform shirt, briefly pulling it aside to reveal a twisted, burn-like scar in the shape of a stylized M. Your choice, she said. But if you leave, don't come back. Not even during daylight. I should have run. Any sane person would have. But the loans, my rent, the complete lack of any other job prospects in this economy, they all flashed through my mind. And beneath that, a horrible curiosity stirred. What else would I see in this place? What other rules were there to find? Fine, I said, hugging myself against the pre-dawn chill. But I want to know everything. All the rules, not just the basic 5. Michael and Vanessa looked at each other. The 5 main rules will keep you alive, Michael said. The rest, you learn as you go. We re-entered through the back door at 3:45 a.m. The inside of the restaurant looked untouched. The only evidence of our encounter was the locked front door and the lingering smell of rot that faded with each passing minute. The rest of the night brought more strange drive-through orders from customers that weren't quite human. One ordered fresh tendon, still warm, that Michael prepared by retrieving a package from a special compartment under the grill. Another asked for a strawberry milkshake mixed with something from a vial that they handed over, a viscous red fluid that I refused to believe was blood. At 4:30 in the morning, I needed the bathroom again. Despite everything I had heard, nature called insistently. "And don't acknowledge anything you hear in there," Vanessa warned as I headed for the back hallway. "And for God's sake, be quick." The bathroom was even colder than before, my breath forming visible clouds in the air. As I washed my hands, I heard it. A soft, tentative knock from inside the third stall. My heart hammered against my ribs. The stall door was closed, but I could see no feet beneath it. 3 knocks. I dried my hands quickly, keeping my eyes on the mirror away from the stalls. The knocking came again, more insistent now. I reached for the door. "Talia?" A woman's voice, weak and wavering, came from behind the stall door. "Please, I know you're there. I need help." My hand froze on the bathroom door handle. "I'm the girl who had your job before. Loretta told you that there was high turnover, right? She wasn't lying. Please, they've trapped me in here. Just open the door." I remembered the 5th rule. If you hear your name, run. I yanked open the bathroom door and fled, the voice rising to a scream behind me. "Don't leave me here. They'll do the same thing to you, please." The door swung shut, muffling but not silencing the pleas that turned to inhuman shrieks of rage. I collapsed against the wall in the hallway, shaking uncontrollably. Michael found me there minutes later. He helped me to my feet without a word and led me to the break room, where he poured a cup of coffee from a pot that I hadn't seen before. "Drink this," he said gently. "It helps with the cold they leave behind." The coffee burned going down but spread warmth throughout my chest. "What happened to her?" I asked. "The girl before me." Michael sighed, suddenly looking much older than I had initially thought. "She broke the rules, the worst one, which is never ever make a deal with the night manager." I frowned. "Night manager? There's only 3 of us." Michael's expression closed off. "You haven't met the night manager yet. With luck, you won't have to." I wanted to press for more information, but the drive-through buzzer sounded. One long, continuous buzz, unlike the normal alert. Michael paled. "That's for you." "What?" "When it buzzes like that, it's calling for someone specific. It's calling for you." The buzzer continued, one unbroken drone that set my teeth on edge. "I'm not answering that," I said. "You have to," Vanessa said from the doorway, her face grave. "Rule 3, answer on the first buzz." "That's not a customer, though," I protested. "You know it's not." "Doesn't matter," Michael said. "The rules protect us as much as they bind us. Break one end." The unsaid conclusion hung in the air. I thought of the voice in the bathroom stall, the girl who had had my job before. With leaden legs, I walked to the drive-through station and put on the headset. The buzzing stopped instantly. "Oh, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?"
"Thalia."
The voice was like broken glass wrapped in velvet, somehow both grating and smooth.
"How are you enjoying your first night?"
I swallowed hard. "Can I take your order?" A low chuckle.
"So professional. I'm not here to order, I'm here to introduce myself. I'm Norris, the night manager."
Through the drive-through window, I could see nothing but darkness where a vehicle should be. Yet the voice came through crystal clear. "Loretta mentioned you." I lied, trying to sound casual. "Said you handle the overnight operations."
"Oh, did she? How thoughtful. And did she mention our special menu items? The ones only available during my hours?"
"No, but I've been learning on the job." Another chuckle.
"I'm sure you have. You're doing well so far, better than your predecessor. She was unwilling to adapt.
My throat tightened. Is that why she's in the bathroom now? The silence stretched for several seconds.
You're more perceptive than I expected.
Norris finally replied, a voice harder.
Yes, she made some poor choices. She decided the rules that didn't apply to her, that there would be no consequences.
What did she do?
She let somebody in after hours, someone that I had been waiting for. She disrupted the balance.
I thought of the desperate note behind the paper towel dispenser. And now she's trapped.
Not trapped.
Norris corrected.
Transformed. She's becoming something new, something that belongs to the night shift permanently.
Bile rose in my throat. What do you want from me?
For now, just obedience. Follow the rules, do your job, serve the customers that I send you.
And if I don't, I challenged, fear making me reckless. The temperature around me plummeted. My breath clouded heavily in front of me. Through the window, I thought that I saw something move in the darkness. A tall, thin shape with too many angles.
Well, then you'll join Eliza.
Norris said softly.
They'll put you somewhere worse than a bathroom stall. Perhaps the freezer. Would you like that, Thalia? To become a part of our special menu.
Before I could even respond, the connection cut off. The drive-thru area warmed gradually back to a normal temperature. Vanessa appeared at my side, her face ashen. You spoke to him. It wasn't a question. Is he human? I asked. Was, maybe, once. She took the headset from me gently. Most of us think that he's what happens when you work the night shift for too long, when you let the darkness in. How long have you been working here? She didn't meet my eyes. 3 years. And Michael, 5. I stared at her. How is that possible? Norris made it sound like most people don't last. They don't, she admitted, but some of us adapt. She rolled up her sleeves slowly. In the harsh light, her skin had an almost translucent quality. The veins beneath were dark, almost black. Once you're marked, you belong to the night shift, she said, rolling her sleeve back down. You can't work anywhere else, can't quit, can barely function in the daylight. That's insane, I whispered. Why would anybody agree to that? The pay increases every month that you survive, Michael said, joining us, significantly. After a year, you're making more than most people with master's degrees. After 3, he gestured at Vanessa. Well, Vanessa owns 3 houses now, all paid off. Vanessa's bitter laugh held no humor. Yeah, a fat lot of good they do me. I can only leave this place between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. before the sunlight becomes too painful. I sleep all day in a basement apartment with blackout curtains. But the money, it's a cage made of gold, she snapped. You'll understand soon enough. The rest of the shift passed in tense silence. The unusual orders continued. A Happy Meal with the toy replaced by a small cloth doll that seemed to twitch in my hands. A cup of ice that steamed and hissed when handed over. A bag of fries that Michael prepared by placing an empty container under the heat lamp for exactly 7 minutes and 13 seconds, after which it was somehow full. At 6:30 a.m., Michael began the opening preparations. Vanessa counted the register, though I hadn't seen a single customer pay all night. The day crew arrives at 6:55, she informed me. We'll be gone before they enter. No interaction between shifts, that's another rule. But my car... Take the bus today, Michael advised. Come back for your car this evening before your shift starts. At exactly 6:54, we exited through the back door. Dawn was breaking, the sky lightening to a pale gray. Vanessa winced and put on dark sunglasses despite the dim light. "You survived night 1, Michael said, attempting a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Congrats." "Do I come back tonight?" I asked, realizing that I didn't know the schedule. "Well, that depends," Vanessa said, already walking briskly toward a bus stop. "Did Norris say your name 3 times?" I thought back to the conversation. "No, just once." "Then you're expected back," Michael confirmed. 10:45 p.m., not a minute later. "And if I don't show up?" His expression darkened. "Don't test that theory." I spent the day in a daze, alternating between convincing myself that I had imagined everything and panicking about returning. I called in sick to my morning class, slept fitfully for a few hours, and dreaded returning to work that night. But by 10:30 p.m., I was sitting in my car in the parking lot, debating whether to drive away and never look back. But the memory of Vanessa's scar and the voice from the bathroom stall kept me frozen in indecision until I saw Michael and Vanessa arrive. They nodded to me as if nothing unusual had happened the night before, as if we worked at a completely normal McDonald's. I followed them inside just as the evening crew was finishing cleanup. The evening manager, a balding man who refused to make eye contact with any of us, briefed Michael quickly on inventory and practically ran for the exit at 10:44. "So you're ready for night 2? Michael asked, handing me a headset. No, I wasn't ready. I would never be ready. But I nodded anyway and took my position at the drive-thru. The shift began much like the previous night. Strange orders from strange customers that we fulfilled without question. At 1 a.m., something banged on the locked front door. A tall, emaciated figure in a trench coat that hung oddly on its frame. Vanessa pretended not to hear despite the increasingly violent impacts that should have shattered the glass. At 2:15 a.m., a new type of customer appeared at the drive-thru window. Normal looking at first glance, a middle-aged woman in a sedan. But when she turned to take her order, a cheeseburger with the meat removed and replaced with something Michael had retrieved from the back. Her face was completely smooth where eyes should have been. Through it all, I bit back my questions and followed instructions, focusing on surviving until 7 a.m. At 3, we prepared for the incoming lockdown. Michael pulled me aside. "There's something else that you should know. Something about tonight specifically." "What?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. "The night manager makes rounds on the second night, inspects new employees." "Inspects? What does that mean?" Before he could answer, the freezer door, the one that we were never supposed to open at night, creaked. Vanessa's head snapped up from where she was cleaning the front counter. "It's starting. Places, everyone." The freezer door swung open slowly, releasing a cloud of frigid air that smelled of metal and raw meat. From within the mist stepped a figure so tall that it had a duck through the doorway. Norris, the night manager. He wore a McDonald's uniform that might have been normal once but now seemed constructed of shadows more than fabric. His name tag gleamed in the light. Norris, night manager, serving since 1955. But it was his face that made my heart stutter. It was almost human, handsome even, in a sharp, angular way except for the eyes. They were solid white, pupilless, and seemed to reflect light rather than absorb it. "Good evening, team," he said, his voice that same broken glass smoothness that I had heard through the headset. "How are the night specials moving?" "Steady demand," Michael reported stiffly. "No issues." Norris smiled, revealing teeth too numerous and pointed to be human. "Excellent. And our new team member, Talia, yes?" I managed a jerky nod, unable to form words. He approached, moving with an unsettling fluidity, as if his joints worked differently than human anatomy had allowed. Up close, his skin had a waxy quality, too perfect and smooth. I always personally evaluate new hires on their second night, he said, circling me slowly, to ensure they're suitable for our unique working environment. I could feel cold radiating from him, like standing next to an open freezer. She's doing well, Vanessa offered quickly, a fast learner. Norris's white eyes flickered to Vanessa briefly. I'm sure she is, but the evaluation has protocols. He reached into his pocket and withdrew what looked like a standard McDonald's order pad, but when he opened it, the pages were covered in symbols I didn't recognize, twisting and squirming marks that hurt my eyes to look at directly. Just a few questions. First, have you told anyone about your experiences here? No, I answered truthfully. Do you intend to? I hesitated and his white eyes narrowed. No, I lied. Who would believe me anyway? He smiled again, the expression never reaching those horrible eyes. Indeed, who would? Next question. Are you willing to serve all customers according to their needs without judgment or question? The image of the smooth-faced woman flashed in my mind, along with all the other not quite human customers that we had served. Yes, I said, the lie coming easier this time. Even if their needs conflict with your moral sensibilities. I swallowed hard. What do you mean? Norris's smile widened impossibly. Some of our customers have special dietary requirements. Requirements that might seem unorthodox to someone with conventional ethics. My blood ran cold as I remembered the raw McRib, the steaming ice, the Happy Meal with the twitching doll. I follow the menu, I said carefully, whatever that includes. He nodded approvingly. Final question, and this one requires absolute honesty. He leaned closer, his cold breath washing over my face. Do you fear me? The question hung in the air between us. Michael and Vanessa had gone completely still, watching the exchange with undisguised attention. Truth or lie, which would keep me alive until morning? Yes, I whispered, deciding honesty was my only option. I do. Norris held my gaze for an endless moment, and then threw back his head and laughed, a sound like ice cracking over a frozen lake. Good, he exclaimed. Fear is appropriate. Fear is respectful. It's the ones who don't fear me that make unfortunate decisions. He snapped the order pad closed and returned it to his pocket. You passed the preliminary evaluation. Now for the practical portion. Practical? I echoed weakly. Every new hire must demonstrate their commitment to our establishment, he explained. A simple task, really. You'll prepare a special order for me. He gestured toward the grill. Beside it, I now noticed a small door that I hadn't seen before. Or perhaps it hadn't existed until now. It was old wood, worn and stained with a small sliding panel at eye level. In there, Norris instructed, you'll find the ingredients for my meal. Follow the recipe card exactly. No substitutions and no questions. I'll help, Michael offered quickly, stepping forward. But Norris's hand shot out, gripping Michael's shoulder with long and pale fingers. No, she does this alone. That's the test. The small wooden door creaked open on its own. Beyond it, I could see only darkness. You have 15 minutes, Norris said, releasing Michael. Don't disappoint me. My legs moved woodenly toward the door, every instinct screaming at me to run in the opposite direction. But where would I go? What would follow me? I stepped through the doorway and found myself in a space that couldn't possibly fit within the McDonald's floor plan. It was a cramped, windowless kitchen that looked decades old, with rust-stained appliances and yellowed linoleum floors. The walls were covered in a greasy film that glistened in the dim light of a single bare bulb swinging overhead. The door clicked shut behind me with a finality that made my stomach drop. On a butcher block lay a recipe card, yellowed with age and spotted with dark stains. Beside it sat an arrangement of ingredients that made bile rise in my throat. Raw meat of some kind, dark and glistening, a pile of small curved bones, a jar of thick and viscous fluid that moved slightly when I approached it, a loaf of bread that was somehow moldy and perfectly fresh at the same time, and worst of all, a small cloth bundle tied with twine that pulsed rhythmically, like a beating heart. The recipe card bore a McDonald's logo that I had never seen before, older with sharper angles, the golden arches looking more like horns. The instructions were handwritten in faded ink. A night manager's special for evaluation purposes only. Combine ingredients in precise order. Speak no words during preparation. What is made here stays here. I got to work. I sliced the meat, arranged the bones into a pattern, poured the fluid in a specific zigzagging line, toasted the bread until it smelled like copper. The cloth bundle was last. The instructions said to place it in the center, untie the twine and cover it with the remaining fluid. As I reached for it, the pulsing increased in tempo, like it was frightened. My hand trembled as I lifted it. It was warm to the touch and yielded slightly under my fingers. The twine was knotted in an intricate pattern that I had to study for several minutes before unraveling. As the last knot came loose, the cloth fell open, revealing nothing that I could comprehend. My mind simply refused to process what lay in the bundle. It was as if my consciousness had skipped forward, protecting itself. One moment I was untying the bundle, and the next, I was placing the completed meal on a serving tray. The preparation somehow finished, though I had no memory of the final steps. The tray now held what looked superficially like a standard McDonald's meal, a sandwich, fries, and a drink. But the colors were wrong, the textures were off, and when I lifted the tray, the contents shifted in ways that didn't seem right. The door swung open on its own. Norris waited outside, white eyes gleaming with anticipation. Michael and Vanessa stood well back, their expressions a mixture of pity and relief. "Right on time," Norris said, consulting a pocket watch that ticked backwards. "Let's see what you prepared." I held out the tray, desperate to be rid of it. He examined the contents critically, lifting the top of the sandwich to inspect what lay beneath. Something there squirmed. "Excellent knife work, clean edges, a proper pattern alignment, and you completed the binding without damaging the core. Impressive for a novice." He took the tray from my shaking hands. "You pass. You may continue your employment here." "What did I just make?" I whispered. Norris's smile stretched wider than his face should have allowed. "Nothing you need to concern yourself with. Just another menu item, one that satisfies a very particular hunger." He turned toward the freezer door, which creaked open at his approach. "I'll be conducting periodic evaluations. For now, continue serving our night customers. I have other matters to attend to." "Wait," I called, surprising myself. "What happens during the day here? Is it really just a normal McDonald's?" Norris paused at the freezer threshold. "During the day, this is simply a fast food restaurant. At night, it's something else." He glanced over his shoulder. pupilless eyes reflecting in the light. Not all franchises are created equal. Some serve different masters. With that strange statement, he stepped into the freezer, the meal in hand. The heavy door swung shut behind him with a definitive thunk. The rest of the night continued with its parade of unsettling customers and strange orders. By the time that daylight approached, I had made a decision. Whatever consequences might come, I couldn't return for a third night. Not after what I had done in that hidden kitchen. As we prepared to leave before the day shift had arrived, I pulled Michael aside. "I can't do this, I'm not coming back," I told him flatly. His face fell. "You can't just quit. You've been marked now." "Marked? What does that mean?" He hesitated and then slowly rolled up his sleeve. Like Vanessa, his veins were darkened, but there was something else. A faint pattern on his skin, similar to the arrangement that I had made with the bones during the food preparation. "Once you prepare food for them, you're connected. The longer you work here, the stronger that connection becomes, and eventually you can't leave. The sunlight burns, and normal food tastes like ash, and you can only find peace in the restaurant during the night." "That's insane. I've only worked 2 shifts. It can't be too late." "It starts immediately," Vanessa said, joining our conversation. "Haven't you noticed you're already turning paler? Your eyes have already changed a little." I grabbed my phone and switched to the camera. My reflection did show subtle but undeniable signs. My skin almost seemed waxy, my eyes a shade lighter, with unusual reflectivity. "No, this can't be happening," I murmured. "It already has," Michael said gently. "But listen, hey, it's not all that bad. The pay really is exceptional. After 6 months, you'll have enough to pay off those loans. After a year, you could buy a house outright." "But at what cost?" I demanded. "Becoming like Norris eventually." Vanessa and Michael looked at each other uncomfortably. "We don't know exactly how he became what he is," Vanessa admitted. "The rumors say that he was the first night shift worker when this relocation rebuilt after a fire. That he made a deal with whatever came through when the new restaurant was constructed over the old foundations." "What was here before? Originally, I mean." Michael shrugged. "County records say nothing, but the older residents talk about an old slaughterhouse that burned down in the 50s. Supposedly, there was some kind of accident or a ritual that went wrong." The morning light was strengthening outside. Vanessa winced visibly and put on her glasses. "We need to go," she insisted. "Day crew arrives in a minute." As we hurried towards the back exit, I made my final decision. I'm going to find a way out of this. There has to be some way to break the connection. Michael grabbed my arm, his expression deadly serious. "Don't. Others have tried. They either came crawling back, half dead from withdrawal, or they disappeared entirely. And Norris, he takes special interest in those who try to leave." The next night started normally enough, if anything about our shift could be called normal. The same procession of inhuman customers with their strange orders, that same bone-deep cold that pervaded the restaurant after midnight, the lockdown at 3. I waited for my opportunity, volunteering to clean the kitchen while Michael manned the drive-thru and Vanessa handled the front counter. During a slow period at around 4 a.m., I slipped into the back storage, allegedly to restock napkins and straws. The restaurant's emergency protocols were posted on the wall, including the location of fire extinguishers, emergency exits, and the gas shutoff valve. It would be simple enough. Open the gas line, create a spark, and flee before the place went up into flames. Insurance would cover the loss and they would rebuild. and hopefully whatever existed in this place would be gone when they rebuilt it. I found the main gas valve behind a panel near the water heater. With trembling hands, I began to turn it, imagining freedom from this nightmare. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I whirled around to find Eliza standing behind me, or what remained of her. The woman wore a McDonald's uniform soaked and stained as if she had been submerged in dark liquid. Her skin had the gray pallor of a corpse, and her eyes were completely black, like pools of oil. "You're real. As real as anything here," she replied, her voice carrying the same hollow quality. "And I'm trying to save your life, ironically enough, by stopping me from burning the place down." "Yeah, exactly." She stepped closer, leaving wet footprints on the floor. "You think you're the first one to try. The fire that destroyed the previous restaurant wasn't an accident. It was a worker like you trying to get out. But it worked. They had to rebuild." Eliza's laugh was like water gurgling down a drain. "Oh, it didn't work, it just made it worse. And those who set the fire became the first items on the new menu." A chill ran through me. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the night manager gets stronger every time somebody tries to destroy this place. Every act of rebellion just feeds it. Breaking the rules doesn't free you. It transforms you into something that serves him eternally. So I'm supposed to just accept this, become like Vanessa and Michael working here until I'm no longer human." She tilted her head, water dripping from her hair. "No, there is another way out, but it requires patience and intelligence, not desperation and fire." "Well, what way?" "Well, the same way you defeat any contract. You find the loophole." She glanced nervously toward the door. "I don't have much time. He lets me move freely only for short periods, usually to discourage new employees from making bad choices." "Tell me," I pleaded. "The rules protect you, but they also bind Norris and the others. They can't hurt you if you follow them exactly. And more importantly, they can't keep you if you fulfill your contract to the letter." "What contract? I never signed anything saying that I would become some kind of night creature." "Well, you did actually." She pointed to my name tag. "Check the back." I unpinned it and turned it over. In small text, barely visible even under the bright storeroom lights, was a paragraph of legal text. "Bearer agrees to serve for a period of employment terminating upon fulfillment of night shift requirements or at management discretion. Early termination incurs penalties including but not limited to physical transformation, spiritual binding, or menu inclusion. Contract voidable upon completion of 7 consecutive shifts without rule violations or successfully passing the final evaluation." 7 shifts, I murmured. "That's it. Just work a week without breaking rules and I'm free." Her expression darkened. "Oh, it's not that simple. The rules change nightly. Norris adds new ones without telling you. And the final evaluation." She shuddered, water sloshing inside her uniform. "Only one person has ever passed it in all the years that I've been here." "Who?" "The day manager, Loretta. Why do you think she can come and go freely? She passed the test and fulfilled her contract, earned her freedom, but the cost was high." I remembered Loretta's 2 white teeth and the way she never quite met my eyes. "What did she have to do?" "Oh, I don't know exactly. It's different for everyone, but it always involves a sacrifice, something precious to you. Something that ensures you'll never speak of this place even after you're free." The storeroom door creaked. Eliza's form shimmered, becoming less solid. "I have to go. He's looking for me. Remember, 7 shifts without breaking rules or past the final evaluation. Don't try to burn this place down. Don't try to run. Just survive." "Wait, how do I request the evaluation?" "You don't. her voice already fading as her form dissolved into a puddle on the floor. He offers it when he believes you're ready to sacrifice something that matters. The puddle slithered beneath the door just as it opened to reveal Michael. "Everything okay in here?" he asked, eyes narrowing at the wet spots on the floor. "Vanessa said you've been gone for a while." I stepped away from the gas valve, forcing a neutral expression. "Just looking for straws. The dispenser up front is empty." He studied me for a long moment and then nodded toward a shelf. "They're over there. Hurry up, we've got a customer." I grabbed a box of straws and followed him back to the front, my mind racing with this new information. A way out existed. Difficult, dangerous, but possible. As 7 a.m. approached and we prepared to leave, I caught Michael alone by the time clock. "Is it true about the 7 shifts?" He froze. "Who told you that?" "Eliza." His expression shifted from surprise to pity. "You shouldn't listen to her. She's not reliable anymore. Being in the bathroom, it's changed her." "But is it true?" "Yes and no. The 7-shift rule exists, but nobody makes it that far without breaking at least one rule. They're designed to be broken eventually." "And the final evaluation?" "A myth. Or if it's real, it's not worth the cost." "Loretta took it, and she passed." "How do you know that?" "Eliza told me and it makes sense. Loretta can come and go. She works days and she's free." He leaned close, lowering his voice. "Look at Loretta carefully the next time you see her. Really look. Then decide if what she gave up was worth her freedom." On my 4th night, something changed. A new employee arrived. A young man named Devin with curly brown hair and an earnest smile. Loretta had hired him directly for the night shift, just as she had me. "She's training you tonight," Michael told Devin, nodding toward me. "Talia knows the ropes now." I felt sick. Had I already been here long enough to be trusted with new recruits? Was I becoming like Michael and Vanessa? When we were alone, I gave Devin the real orientation, explaining the 5 main rules in detail, then warning him about Norris, even telling him about these 7-shift escape clause. "You believe all this?" he asked, his skepticism understandable but dangerous. "Yeah, just wait until 3:13, then tell me what you believe." Sure enough, at 3:12 a customer appeared, this time a woman with too many fingers who moved like a stop-motion animation, and Devin watched in horror as she was denied entry, transforming into something inhuman when the clock struck 3:13, and Vanessa locked the door. "Jesus Christ," he whispered after we had escaped through the drive-through window, huddling in the parking lot until the thing inside tired of throwing itself against the glass. "What is this place?" After that night, Devin became my ally. On my 5th night, Norris had emerged from the freezer for his now familiar inspection, but this time he seemed different, his focus sharpened on me specifically. "You've reached an important milestone. Night 5 of the proving." "The what?" "A test," Vanessa explained later on, after Norris had returned to the freezer. "Everybody who makes it to the 5th night faces it. It determines whether you're worthy of completing the full 7. At 2:22, I received a phone call in the manager's office. Norris's voice, deeper and more resonant than usual, instructed me to go to the 3rd bathroom stall where I would face a choice. Inside the stall, I found not a toilet but a vast, circular chamber with walls made of polished bone. Eliza, more substantial than before, stood beside a small table with 2 items: a McDonald's name badge and a small red toy like those found in Happy Meals. "Choose." The badge binds you permanently to the night shift, granting security and belonging. The toy reveals truths that might help you escape, but at great risk. I studied the items. Neither, I said firmly, stepping back from the table. I reject both choices. The 5th rule states that I should ignore anything from bathroom stalls. Eliza went very still, her form flickering. Clever, very clever but incomplete. The 5th rule has a second part, doesn't it? If you hear your name, run. As if on cue, my voice called from somewhere in the darkness above. Talia, is that you down there? Help me, please. I turned and ran toward where the stall door had been, and for a moment I only saw seamless, bone walls surrounding me. But then a door appeared and I slammed through it, tumbling onto the bathroom floor as the stall door swung shut behind me. When I returned to the front, Vanessa and Michael stared at me with shock and grudging respect. You refused both options, Vanessa said, not quite a question. I nodded. The 5th rule overrode the proving itself. Brilliant, Michael murmured. Using the rules against the rulemaker. I never considered that. Before we could discuss any further, Norris appeared, his white eyes gleaming with an emotion that I couldn't identify. Congrats. Few reach this stage, fewer still by such unconventional means. I followed the rules. Indeed you did, more precisely than I anticipated. The final evaluation awaits you tomorrow night. Your 6th shift. Come alone. What about my 7th? The contract specifies 7 shifts without rule violation. The final evaluation supersedes that requirement. Pass and your contract is fulfilled regardless of shift count. Fail. His expression left no doubt about the consequences. I arrived at my 6th shift to find the restaurant dark and empty. No Michael, no Vanessa, not even the evening crew cleaning up. Only a single light burned in the manager's office. Inside sat Norris, not in his usual distorted McDonald's uniform but a crisp business suit that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. On the desk before him lay an antique pocket watch, a small silver knife and a contract printed on parchment-like paper. The final evaluation, he began once I was seated across from him, is a sacred tradition, a transition point between servitude and something else. What exactly am I being evaluated on? Your worthiness for freedom. Upon completion, your employment obligations will be fulfilled. You may leave McDonald's permanently with no lingering connection. In exchange for what? His smile widened, showing those too numerous and too sharp teeth. Just a token, something that you value freely given. Like what Loretta gave up, her empathy. Norris's expression shifted subtly. Loretta made her choice. Your sacrifice will be uniquely yours. And if I refuse, then you remain with the night shift forever. What specifically do you want from me? I pressed. What part of myself am I supposed to surrender? Norris set down the knife. Your memories. My memories of what? Of this place, of the night shift, of the true nature that lurks here. He tapped the contract. In exchange for your freedom, you will relinquish all recollection of what transpires here after dark. You will remember working at night, but only as normal shifts at a normal restaurant. It was tempting, more tempting than I wanted to admit. Before I decide, I said carefully, I would like to propose an alternative arrangement. The terms are non-negotiable. Hear me out. You value order above all else, the smooth operation of your establishment. Explain, he demanded, the temperature around us dropping perceptibly. Let me keep my memories my complete self, and in exchange I'll agree to help maintain the boundary, to ensure that those who shouldn't know about this place remain ignorant, to occasionally direct suitable candidates your way for employment. You propose to become an agent rather than a servant. Interesting but insufficient. What prevents you from simply walking away once you're freed? A new rule. A binding as strong as the 5 main rules but voluntary. I propose a Rule 6. Those who leave must maintain the secret, enforceable by the same consequences that govern the other rules. Norris went utterly still. You suggest altering the framework, adding to the binding architecture that governs this place. Such a thing hasn't been done since the beginning. Is it possible? Possible, yes, but it would require more than just my agreement. The authorities above me would need to approve. Well, then ask them. Surely a willing agent is more valuable than another reluctant servant. Norris rose and moved toward the freezer door, which swung open to reveal not a storage compartment, but a swirling vortex in the darkness. I must consult with those above. Wait here. Hours passed before he returned, his form subtly altered, edges blurring slightly as if partially dissolving into the air. It is decided. Your proposal has merit, but the authorities require additional assurance of your commitment. What kind of assurance? A demonstration. He pushed the silver knife across the table toward me. Not memory, but blood. A binding agent stronger than ink. If I do this, I said carefully, I want specific terms. I keep all my memories and I'm free to leave the McDonald's permanently. I can live a normal life in the daylight world. My only obligation is to maintain the secret of what happens here after dark, and to occasionally direct suitable candidates our way. Norris reminded me, we require new employees periodically. The contract now contained a new section outlining Rule 6 and my obligations as a daylight liaison. The original sacrifice clause had been replaced with a blood oath requirement. With trembling fingers, I took the knife and pressed the tip to my index finger, drawing a bead of blood that I touched to the paper. The blood spread into thin lines, forming a complex symbol beneath where my signature would go. I signed my name above the blood, and the parchment glowed briefly with a dull reddish light. It is done. Rule 6 has been incorporated into the framework. You are bound by it, as are we. And the transformation. I gestured to my increasingly inhuman appearance. Will it reverse? With time, yes. The physical changes will fade once your employment formally ends. He glanced at the pocket watch. Which it does now. Your final shift is complete. Relief washed over me so intense that I nearly wept. That's it, I can just walk out. You may leave at any time, though I suggest waiting until morning. The night holds dangers for those between states. I waited until dawn and then walked out into the morning light, feeling it warm my skin without the burning pain that I had experienced in recent days. I drove home wondering if I had made the right choice. I've been working at this same McDonald's for years now, but not as somebody trapped on the night shift, barred from living in the light of day. I've recruited hundreds of new employees for the night shift. Some seem to get the hang of it while the others don't last long. I've come to live with what I'm forced to do and even find some joy in adding new members to the team, as morbid as that might seem. So if you ever see a job posting for a night shift position at McDonald's with good pay and benefits, I recommend that you check it out and give it a try. What's the worst thing that can happen? Knott, Jimmy Griffin, Miss Eldridge, Sleepy Shroomy, Takio Zarilla, Richard French, Mina Lynn Kidder, Mark Norman, Andrew Harrington, Swaggity Swoot, Omni Rubik, Son